Yeah. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order on August 23rd, 2022. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Knudsen. Gross.
Here.
Quinn.
Present.
Jones.
Here.
Goodrich.
Here. All council members except Councilmember Knudsen are present, as is the mayor, the city clerk, the city attorney, the city administrator, and other staff in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Jones, seconded by
Second.
Seconded by Quinn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. On to item number 4, community comments. This is a time for community members to speak to us about items that aren't on the agenda or items that are on the agenda but are not subject to a public hearing. Each speaker will have 5 minutes, and we do reserve the right to adjust both the comment time and the individual speaking time based on the number of speakers or any accommodations that a speaker might have. So is there anyone that would like to speak to us tonight? Yes. Step up to the microphone. Please state your name.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
My name is Brian Rice. I've lived in Iowa City for about 20 years, and the main reason I'm here today is because I moved to Coralville about a month ago. I ride electric scooters a lot, and I have been for 4 years. I currently promote them on social media. It's a huge part of my life, and I believe strongly that they have the opportunity to change a lot of people's lives just by giving them mobility that they normally would not have otherwise. And so I'm here today to ask you to adopt the same ordinance that Iowa City has. In 2018, they legalized electric scooters up to 25 miles per hour on a sidewalk, a bike path, or a sidewalk, minus a couple areas downtown. But I was hoping that you would legalize electric scooters in the same way on our bike paths in Coralville, because a lot of electric scooter riders end up traveling back and forth between the two because it's so interconnected. And so moving forward, I would, for my own sake and for everybody I know that rides scooters, it's just better for us to have one ordinance for the whole area. And so I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet, but that's the gist of it. Do you have any questions?
You brought one of your scooters. Yeah, would you like to give us a little demo up here? Come on, for real, come up here and you can do a little demo. Because this looks really fun, actually.
They're legal up to 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
This is a 23 mile per hour scooter. So it is totally 100% legal right now in Iowa City. But the second I cross into Coralville, it's not illegal, but it's not legal.
Sure.
Right? It's not explicitly legal or illegal yet. But that's what I'd like to change. They come equipped with lights, tail lights, brake lights, everything that you would need to have a safe ride. And honestly, they've been working on these, developing for about 5 or 10 years now, and they're very safe. I've ridden about 20,000 miles, and I only had one minor wreck in the very beginning. I haven't wrecked in over 2 years. So as far as a safe vehicle, I totally vouch for it. So yeah, you got any questions?
Looks great. Thank you so much
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that in and showing that to us.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Is there anyone else who wants to follow that? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to us this evening? Thank you. That's really cool. Thank you so much. All right. Then we will move on to item number 5. We have, this item is a public hearing for a request by the Clear Creek Amana Community School District to change the land use map for a 30-acre property located in the West Land Use Area to public and semi-public use. And this is in order to allow the development of an elementary school in that area. And we will start this agenda item off with a report from Dave Johnson, our Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mayor. This property is actually currently designated corporate campus, low density to residential, medium density to residential, as well as open space. However, the area is predominantly corporate campus. This property is located in the West Land Use area. The Coralville Community Plan identifies the area as a key growth area for the community as well as the region. And commercial development lines Coleridge Avenue and other major corridors. However, much of the development underway currently and planned in between those corridors is low and medium density residential. The new school location's been chosen to help support the residential growth and current demands the school district is experiencing in that area. And corporate campus areas are intended to provide for business park and office park uses, which include office building complexes or several buildings incorporated into a campus-like setting. And this designation also includes commercial uses to provide amenities to businesses within a campus. The public, semi-public designations are used for a variety of uses, but schools, civic buildings, fire stations, things in that nature certainly fall under that category. Staff feels the school will address an immediate need in the area and will help support future development in the area. The school district has agreed to partner with the city of Coralville on the use of the facility. Much of the exterior spaces will remain play equipment and fields. Residents will have the ability to use those outdoor play spaces. In addition, the city will be operating before and after school programming, summer camps, as well as other general recreational programming with the dedicated indoor as well as outdoor programming space. The larger community benefit and need addressed by the school is more beneficial use than the corporate campus, and the school will do more to further positive growth and development and the vision and goals outlined in the West Land Use Area Master Plan than a business park. Therefore, city staff supports this request. The Planning and Zoning Commission concurred. They reviewed this at their August 10th meeting, and by a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended to approve amending this parcel from corporate campus, low-density residential, medium-density residential, and open space to public and semi-public. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us on this agenda item? Are there any written comments?
Mayor, I
Yes.
think it would be good if we could have, it's good to have a great audience here from Clear Creek School District, and we have the new superintendent, Dr. Seymour, and you want to just introduce your group that's here and just introduce yourself, because it's so good to have you here.
Thank you. You know what, to be honest with y'all, I probably have to pass that, being here for like 6 weeks. I don't really know everyone, so I'm gonna actually pass it to my associate superintendent, Matt Lehman, and let him do that for us.
So, my name is Matt Lehman. We also have for us from Shive Hattery, who's helping design for us. It would be Matt Klein, Tandy Brenneman, and Abby Turno. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Obviously, we're looking forward to developing a partnership with the city, and we know what benefits it brings for us and what benefits it brings for the city as well. So,
Awesome.
Will
Thank
these
you.
be similar? Will this be a similar school to what you have built before?
so if you've seen our previous schools, they're pretty long, right? And those are about 450 student buildings. This will actually be a 600 student building, and we'll have 2 floors. So due to the size of the lot, we're going to go vertical, and it's a good opportunity to do it. Plus, we know that we need to have larger schools than what we've been building due to the fast growth that we're experiencing.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments?
I just comment, Mayor, that it's been great. They've been excellent partners, and we've got a lot of pieces still to do. They're working on the street portion with the adjacent developer. There's just a lot of pieces yet to do and things that the city needs to do with Oakdale Boulevard. And so we'll continue to work on that. But, you know, I think it's going to be a great partnership, and really appreciate all the effort that's been put into the design and helping meet the city's needs as well as the school district's needs.
Fantastic.
I'll just say Tandy's also the lead architect for West Side. She does not mess around, so
Yeah.
she'll be ready. Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing, and we will consider the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2022-1011, an ordinance amending the Coralville Community Plan to reflect certain property generally known as Auditor Parcel number 06264010003, Coralville, Iowa, to be designated public, semi-public use in place of corporate campus use, low-density residential use, medium-density residential use, and open space use, introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Any other questions or comments on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Wynn,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 6, Lot 1, Coral Galleria, Part 5. This is a public hearing for the site plan and final plat. This is for a 1.5 acre parcel with a multi-tenant commercial building and 48 parking stalls. And we have Dave Johnson here again to provide us with an overview of this item.
Thank you, Mayor. This will allow for a 7,198 square foot multi-tenant commercial building. This commercial building is really an extension of what we're already seeing developed in Coral Galleria PUD. So the building form, design, materials are very similar to what is currently at 2601 as well as 2611 James Street. The only difference is 2601, 2611 James Street has metal awnings. This will have canvas awnings. The remainder of the design, materials, and colors are consistent with the existing buildings as well as the overall design palette approved for the Coral Galleria master plan. The predominant materials for this project include brick, stone veneer, glass, EIFS, as well as composite wood, metal, and metal trim. Staff has reviewed this project. The requested amendment is consistent with the applicable development standards and city code. It's also consistent with the PUD. The final plat conforms with the requirements for preparation and filing outlined in city code. And the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this request on August 10th. And by a vote of 7-0, they also recommended City Council approve the proposed PUDB site plan and final plat for Lot 1 Coral Galleria Part 5. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, I will now open the public hearing on this. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us on this item? Are there any written comments? Okay, I will now close the public hearing and we will consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the PUDB site plan for Lot 1, Coral Galleria, Part 5, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Wynn, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Questions or discussion on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Jones,
Aye.
Goodrich,
Aye.
Gross, Wynn.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Knutson absent. Item E, could we have this resolution, please?
Resolution approving the final plat for Lot 1, Coral Galleria, Part 5, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Jones, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Any questions or comments on this item? Roll call.
Councilmember Goodrich,
Aye.
Gross,
Aye.
Wynn,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 7 is the first of several items relating to Forevergreen Heights. This agenda item is for Phase 1, Part 2, and this is a public hearing. This site plan is for a 3.5 acre parcel and includes 6 fourplexes for a total of 24 residential units. Dave, what can you tell us about this agenda item?
I would just let you know that this is part of a larger master plan that was approved by City Council as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission a little over a year and a half, perhaps 2 years ago. This proposal before you today is consistent with that master plan. Not only the density, the building layout, but also the uses. So in addition to that, I don't have too much to add. Guest parking is being included and considered in this development, and the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this on August 10th, and they recommended 7-0 to approve the PUDB site plan for Forevergreen Heights Phase 1, Part 2.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I will now open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone that would wish to speak to us about this? Any comments from the audience? Are there any written comments? No written. Okay. I will now close the public hearing, and we will consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the PUDB site plan for Forevergreen Heights Phase 1, Part 2, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Questions or comments, discussion on this item?
David, being new to the council, is there any buffer between, there's single family to the south, right, of these units on that street?
Correct. Actually, what's south of Pendleton Avenue is going to be a city park.
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Oh, did you have one, Lori?
Well, I just wondered, how many bedrooms is this, or how does it line up?
I don't think I have an exact bedroom count. I believe there are 3-bedroom units.
Okay.
Do we know how much they go for?
I do
Average?
not know the price point on these.
Are
And,
they the kitchen, living room type? I think I saw that on one of the pictures coming up,
correct, yes.
and then bedrooms. Thank you.
And Councilmember Jones, to clarify, immediately south of this are single-family detached lots that back up to the city park.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 8, Forevergreen Heights Phase 1, Part 3. This is a public hearing for a site plan that is 8 acres and includes 14 fourplexes for a total of 56 residential units. Dave, what can you tell us about this section?
I don't have really much more to add that hasn't already been covered on this as well as previous proposals. I would just let you know the Planning and Zoning Commission did unanimously recommend 7-0 on August 10th to approve the PUDB site plan as submitted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will now open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us about this? Are there any written comments?
No written.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing, and we will consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the PUDB site plan for Forevergreen Heights Phase 1, Part 3, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Any questions or comments on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. And last but not least, item number 9, Forevergreen Heights, Phase 2, Part 1. This is, this final plat is Forevergreen Heights Phase 2, Part 1. This is located between Forevergreen Road and Dubuque Street Northeast. Dave, what do you have for us?
I would just let the city council know that staff has reviewed the plat and it does conform with the requirements for preparation and filing. The Planning and Zoning Commission agreed and recommended 7-0 at their August 10th meeting to approve the final plat as presented.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Could we have the resolution, please?
Resolution approving the final plat for Forevergreen Heights Phase 2, Part 1, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Questions, comments, or discussion?
I just make the comment, Mayor, that just for the public's purpose, you know, there hasn't been a lot of discussion on these, and that's because there was a master plan that we spent a lot of time, staff, council, planning and zoning reviewing, and the developer's done a good job of following that master plan. So that's really why there's not a lot of discussion, because that was at the master planning level and the developer's following that plan.
Can I just mention, these are 2-bedroom? Is that what I'm seeing? Or,
In this final plat, this will all be single-family detached.
okay, no, I'm sorry, I'm backing up to Phase 2, Part 1.
Yeah, that's this,
No, I believe these are also 3 bedrooms.
They are,
Yes.
thank you.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 10, 802 First Avenue. This is the third reading of a rezoning to a commercial planned unit development 2 district to allow for a drive-through coffee shop. And this will replace the current gas station at 802 First Avenue. Could I have the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 2022-1008, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 2020-1009, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as a portion of Lot 3, Auditor's Parcel number 20, from C2 Arterial Commercial District to CPUD2 Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District. Introduced for third and final consideration by Councilmember Jones, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 11, Lot 7. Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry. We have one more item on this. Item B. Could we have the resolution, please?
Resolution approving the PUDB site plan for scooters, 802 First Avenue, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Questions or comments on this item? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Now on to item 11, Lot 7, Folsom's Subdivision. This is the third reading of this ordinance that would rezone the area to a commercial planned unit development 1 district. This will allow for the master development plan for Gather, Iowa. Could we have the ordinance, please?
Ordinance 2022-1009, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 2020-1009, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as part of Lot 7, Folsom Subdivision, from C2 Arterial Commercial District and I2 Light Industrial District to CPUD1 Commercial Planned Unit Development 1 District, introduced for adoption, third and final consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. I will start off the discussion here just by giving a quick update, because we've had a lot of discussion about this area. I've heard a lot, from the community on this, and we have been working to address some of the concerns that we'd had about the affordability of the area. And I'm really pleased to say that we have come up with some really great solutions. We'll discuss those in more detail during the work session. But I do feel much better about where we are at now with this development. We have some good ideas. And in addition to that, we have received communication from the developer stating that they understand that affordability is a priority for this area, and that they understand that the next phases of this project are going to be contingent on maintaining some of that affordable residential and commercial space. So I'm feeling much better about where we are at with this. I want to thank the developers for coming to the table with their ideas and working with us. We really, truly appreciate that they're interested and understand that this is not only a priority for this council, but it's a priority for the community to maintain the affordability of that area. So we truly, truly appreciate all of those very productive discussions. I also want to thank Kelly and Ellen for their work. I want to thank Sarah Barron from the Affordable Housing Coalition and for all of her input and guidance as we've navigated this process. And I really want to thank my colleagues, because part of the reason this is possible is because we have a group of folks up here who are truly dedicated to maintaining housing stock for every member of our community. And I value all of you and your input and your ideas. And I know that this is something that, we've been talking about for a long time. Councilmember Gross in our discussions has mentioned that, this is an issue that he's been very passionate about since what year? 2007? 2006 or 7. And as you've said, it hasn't always been easy. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Mayor.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add
Well, I would
to
just
that?
dovetail your comments. I think, I think there's a deep commitment by everybody here to make sure that Coralville can remain a place where everybody has a chance to live here, especially those that, when we have become a community that's put a lot of its emphasis on retail and hospitality, that we can make sure that the folks who are staffing those facilities can live in our community as well. And I think that's extremely important. And yeah, I think, I'm not sure, being the long tenured person on here, that I've served on a more supportive council of affordable housing than this one. So I deeply believe that there's a pretty unified vision, and then I appreciate your leadership on this. So thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Any other comments? All right.
Can I ask one clarifying
Yes,
question?
absolutely.
And
Please do.
because I was here for the first vote, I was gone
Yes.
the last vote for a conference. So this is just rezone. This is the vote to rezone, correct? And then the subsequent processes would be more details. Okay, just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Councilmember Gross, this will establish the master plan for the development, and then a subsequent submittal will be made that will include a rezoning to a PUDB zoning and a site plan. Actually, no, let me take that back. It will just be a site plan. So there will be one more additional step. That site plan is where we really get a little bit deeper dive into the building and landscape design.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments?
So now will be the time to comment, Mayor?
Yeah,
If you wanna
absolutely,
make
yeah.
comment? Okay. Before the
Yes.
before the
Yep,
resolution?
Yep, absolutely.
I would like to say, well, first of all, I would like to thank the mayor for facilitating the conversation. I know that at the first voting for this, I was gone, so I wasn't able to ask the question that needed to be asked. And at the second reading, I was able to ask the question and just bring up some concern, and also listen to community member regarding preserving the affordability and also the international market and cultural that we have going on there. And this thing show that when we put our head together, staff, council, and community member, and also developer, we can come up with solution that lift everybody up, and not just people in our community who are well-resourced. And that is what my colleague and I sit here to do. And I thank staff and the mayor and the developer, and also community member, very important, for voicing their opinion, willing to sit down at the table, willing to look at the big picture and come up with a plan that benefit everybody. My vote today will be one that based on what we have talked about. And I really hope that each of us stay true to what we said. I asked community members to hold us accountable, hold myself, hold my colleague, hold city staff and developer accountable for what we said today, for the vote that we cast. And in order to move to the next phase so that we can fix the issue that that area had, this step have to be approved. And I know that. And so you have my word that after this phase, every phase that come after that, it will be looked with careful eye. And it will be, you know, myself and my colleague will advocate for what we say we are advocating for true affordability when it comes to residential and also commercial. And yes, please, talk to us. Give us your opinion. We are here to serve you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes with Knutson absent. On to item B. This is a resolution approving the PUDA site plan for the Gather, Iowa development. Could we have the resolution, please?
Resolution approving the PUDA site plan for Gather, Iowa Development, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Questions or discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 12, zoning code amendments. These amendments reflect changes that will better facilitate and direct positive development and redevelopment in the city of Coralville. I will not read through all of these. These can be read on the agenda, and we have discussed these at the other meetings as well. This would be the third reading of this ordinance. Could I have the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 2022-1010, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Coralville 2011, as previously amended, making changes to Chapter 165 of the City of Coralville Code, introduced for adoption, third and final consideration by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Any other comments, questions on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its third and final consideration, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 13, Coralville Town Center District Design Review. This is to approve alterations to the entrance of 1100 Fifth Street that will include a new concrete ramp and planting a tree in the landscape island to mitigate the loss of shrubs. And we have Dave Johnson here again to provide a design review committee report.
Thank you, Mayor. The need for the replacement stems from a new tenant build-out in the interior of this building, which eliminates a previously accessible route from the rear of the parking lot. So in addition, the current condition of the ramp also warrants its replacement. So those are the two big concerns here. So the new ramp will be concrete and will remove approximately 16 feet of landscaping. And you had mentioned previously that to mitigate that, they'll be introducing a new tree in a landscape island, currently without one at that location. And that tree will be reviewed and approved by the city forester. And we're requesting that that be implemented no later than October 28th. Staff is in favor of this request. It improves accessibility for the building. Because this is located in the Town Center District, the Town Center District Design Review Committee reviews this. That committee currently consists of Councilmember Jones as well as Councilmember Knutson. Both have reviewed their request and both recommend approval of the request as presented.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We have the resolution, please.
Resolution approving and accepting the exterior design plans for 1100 Fifth Street, Coralville, Iowa. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Jones, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Keith, would you like to give us a little bit of an overview or any thoughts that you have being on the design review committee?
This is not a major change to that property. It's the property right on the corner. And as Dave said, there'll be some shrubs removed to extend the ramp, but that's being mitigated by this additional tree and landscaping that's being placed. So pretty easy decision for my first design review decision.
Great.
And if I could add, I failed to mention this earlier, but the guardrail will be painted to match the storefront as well as the other guardrails, so it'll all kind of fit in.
Great. Will there need, are these types of improvements, they just happen? Do we need to look at other accessibility points in that area?
No, probably not. The reason I say that is this was actually caught as part of our design or our plan review process for a building permit, which is exactly one of the reasons we have this process.
Yeah.
So when somebody is doing a tenant build out or making changes, these are things that our plan review staff, in this case it was Charlie Myers, is taking a look at to make sure, is this still accessible? And if not, how can we make it so? So it actually, the process went as it should.
Great. Any other questions or comments on this item? All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 14, I-80 and First Avenue interchange. This addendum is related to construction detours and perpetual maintenance responsibilities. Could we have this resolution, please?
Resolution approving an addendum to the agreement number 2021-6-093 with the Iowa Department of Transportation regarding the I-80 and First Avenue interchange, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Questions or comments on this item? All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 15, Fifth Street Improvements Project from 12th Avenue to 20th Avenue. This will allow city staff to begin the acquisition process for the Fifth Street improvements between 12th Avenue and 20th Avenue. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution authorizing acquisition of property interests for the Fifth Street Improvements Project, 12th Avenue to 20th Avenue, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Questions or comments on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item 16, West Land Use Connection Fees. This is a payment for what the West Land Use Area connection fees for Lot 8 Coral Crossing 8th Edition. Could we have the resolution, please?
Resolution acknowledging payment in full of the West Land Use Area connection fees levied against Lot 8, Coral Crossings 8th Edition, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 17, Clear Creek Trail Connection. This is for the Clear Creek Trail Connection along the east side of Camp Cardinal Boulevard from Highway 6 to the Tom Harkin Trailhead, pending the Iowa Department of Transportation concurrence on the award of contract. And we will start off with the bid reports from Scott Larson.
Thank you, Mayor. 5 bids were received on August 16, and the low bid was from Midwest Concrete Incorporated at a total of $772,493.98. That was the lowest of the 5 bids, but it was also quite a bit higher than the most recent engineer's estimate, which was $620,000. So, as we've seen recently, I think we're still seeing a lot of the supply chain impacts, and there is also a lot of work out there for contractors to bid on, and so the prices were not too terribly surprising to us. We are still in a kind of a holding pattern, waiting for DOT to process the contract documents. So this award is pending their concurrence. And once that happens, then we can start communicating directly with the contractor and start talking about start dates and schedules and things like that.
All right. Thank you for that overview. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution accepting bids and awarding the construction contract for the Clear Creek Trail connection, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Jones, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. Questions, comments, or discussion on this item?
Just maybe a silly question to Scott, like, so just given the current economic situation with supply chains and inflation, are those factors considered when doing engineers' estimates or not?
Yes, this estimate, keep in mind that this project was originally estimated back in late 2018,
Okay.
and that estimate was then used to get the TAP grant that we received in the amount of around $212,000. And so inflation factors keep getting applied, but obviously the past couple of years have been very unusual. So we went from a cost estimate back in 2018, I think, of just under $400,000, I think it was $397,000, to the current estimate, which is $620,000. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you anticipate that with the cost and, waiting for DOT, that cost will continue to climb? Because right now, the bid come back at 700 and something, right, which is a 100,000 over the
Yes.
engineering. So
yeah.
how long do you think we'll have to wait for DOT to approve that in order for us to move forward with the project?
We could actually get concurrence yet this week.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
great.
yeah, they're actually, the DOT's actually been encouraging communities to kind of take steps like we're doing tonight to keep the process moving along, so we don't delay awarding the contract, but also getting started and actually, putting people to work out in the field, because there's a lot more work coming down the line. So,
Great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Nguyen.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item C. This is for additional consulting, design services, and adds a construction survey for the Clear Creek Trail connection from Highway 6 to the Tom Harkin Trailhead, not to exceed $29,400. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution approving supplementary agreement number 1 with Shoemaker and Holland for the Clear Creek Trail connection, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Questions or comments on this item? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 18, Law Enforcement Mental Health Liaison. This is for a shared law enforcement liaison to improve outcomes on mental health-related calls for service and to divert persons who need support and treatment from the emergency room and jail. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the Johnson County Sheriff's Department, North Liberty Police Department, and Coralville Police Department, and Community Crisis Services for a shared law enforcement and mental health liaison. Introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Jones. Questions or comments on this item?
I think I'd just say, Mayor, that, I mean, I'm very pleased with this. It's something I think a lot of us have been calling for, but I'd be just curious, and not to put you on the spot, Chief, but could you maybe just talk about like situations and circumstances where this would be used and circumstances where it wouldn't be used? Because I think there's maybe some confusion out there.
Yeah, so we deal with a lot of mental health crisis issues every day. And our ability, we can handle the call, but our ability to follow these people, get them services down the road is pretty limited because we're on to the next call. So we envision this position as being somebody that can pick the ball up and carry it forward from our initial contact and make sure that we get the follow-up and close the loop so that we don't just keep dealing with the same person over and over.
So this is one person?
It's one
Chief?
person.
So what if there's crisis that happens simultaneously in all of these community and that
Again, this
person-
is not replacing the police that
Yes.
respond. This is
Yes,
kind of passing it to them, so they will keep a running, caseload of people that they're checking in on, connecting to services, following up with, that we just can't do.
So it's not like they're going to be going out on calls with you?
There's a possibility, if we get there
Oh,
and we find
really?
out, hey, we'll do the introduction right there. If it's a safe environment and it's just somebody that needs services, they're gonna have a radio, they'll come down
So-
once we've stabilized it, so.
yeah, so I guess my question is, how do all these municipality prioritize? If the call come in and the extra hand is needed in two community at once, and this is the person that provide the extra hand, how does the priority come?
We'll have to triage that. I mean, we're adding a person that we don't currently have. So
Yes.
right now, each police department would be handling it start to finish. Somebody's gonna get a helping hand and somebody's gonna have to wait. But eventually, they'll come to both.
And did you apply for this before?
Yeah.
That's
We
what I
asked for
thought.
this, we had this idea over a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and we originally got denied. And then they came back to us and said, well, now we think it's a good idea, so we're back
Great.
to.
So when will this person start, Chief?
They've done interviews, we have top 2 candidates, so very soon.
See, that's awesome.
Are they based at a specific jurisdiction then, or?
So the office is in North Liberty, but they will have working desks at each office.
Excellent.
And so this is someone that we're contracting through community?
Yeah,
Okay.
community is the actual employer,
Okay.
but we help select them, we help manage them.
So this should be great too for getting folks connected to the GuideLink Center more seamlessly, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely, that's the idea,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that they'll tie into the services that GuideLink provides. And it's just being able to get them there, get them connected is, when we're on to the next call, we don't have that luxury some days.
Sure.
I guess my final question, so then in your annual report, will there be just a section like how this position, we will be able to quantify its success or quantify its effectiveness?
Yeah, we'll know how many cases we transferred from
Okay.
patrol to
Gotcha.
this position.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
This
Ed.
is
I think it's
so-
great, yeah.
This is so great. Thank you for your work on this.
I would just say that it's great to see a collaborative effort between all of the agencies, and
Yeah, we didn't think we had enough to
Yeah.
employ a full-time employee, but certainly between the 3 of us, we do.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I see that is the cost only go to year 4? Is that how long the contract is? And then
Yeah,
we'll just
so-
go back to the drawing table and,
So the mental health region picked up full cost this first year. They were funding 100%. Second year, the 3 of us are responsible for 25%, so our portion is 1/3 of 25% of the position. Then 50%. It'll never go to more than 75% for the 3 agencies to share. And it's only set up for 4 years, but the assumption is if it's successful, we will continue with that arrangement with the 3 entities sharing 75% into forever.
thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item number 19, Destination Iowa Grant Application. This is for a joint grant application with the City of Iowa City, University of Iowa, Johnson County, and Think Iowa the City via the Destination Iowa program. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution authorizing the submission of an application for funding via the Destination Iowa program, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Nguyen, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. We'll start the discussion with some information from Sherry Proud, Parks and Rec Director.
Thank you, Mayor. As you had mentioned, we are working on this with a joint application. Think Iowa City is actually, their staff members are actually writing this application, and we've been working to support that. The portion for Coralville is a $2.4 million portion, and our theme of this grant across all of the communities is pedal and paddle facilities along the Iowa River. So we're trying to develop bicycle and small watercraft amenities at the mouth of Clear Creek and the Iowa River. And we have our match for this grant in the work that we're already doing with the Clear Creek Stream Mitigation Project and the I-80 First Avenue Trails, Tunnels, and Bridges at the Interchange that's coming up. So I just wanted to show, these are draft form, and we're working with Bolton and Mink on these. But just to orient people where we're at, this is where Clear Creek comes into the mouth of the Iowa River. Our Clear Creek trail comes here, goes over the Dan Holderness Bridge and on over to Iowa City, or goes north, and this becomes the Iowa River Corridor Trail and goes to the Iowa River Landing. So this is where we're at. This is the former site of the old Hawkeye Ready Mix site. So you're still seeing from this image taken with a drone, some of the remnants of them still being there in residence. We cleaned up with a small contract a few years ago this front, did some community planting days, planted trees. So this frontage along First Avenue has had some renovation, but we still have quite a bit back here. So let's see, this is, I'm going to go clear to the ending and then we can work ourselves backwards. This is a draft of a master plan for Clear Creek Point Park that's just our working name right now for grant purposes and master planning purposes. This would show, so this shows some type of shelter, and if we used this area in the future for activities in the winter, this would also, we could also look at having this be a warming house. It shows parking, shows being able to access coming from the frontage here at First Avenue. We see a lot of people park here and have lunch. Lots of different commuters in this. So this would be both a bicycle trailhead, small shelter, parking. You could unload your bicycle. Fix-It station here we envision, restrooms located back into the park area, into this shelter. We've also planned in the master plan some additional parking and pickleball courts, a different kind of paddle, but still a paddle and could be phased in the future. Then it shows accesses from the Iowa River on this side. And then, so if you remember our master plan, if you've seen our master plan from 2012, we have a whitewater rafting course that comes down. And this would be a point that you can disembark your kayak from there if you wanted to. And the other place is up here in the Clear Creek channel. This comes very close to the Clear Creek, drops in elevation, and it makes a really good place for an accessible kayak launch. And the water is much calmer here in this area. So this would be an accessible kayak launch, and I have some photos to show you of that. And then this would be, could be walking, exercise. You could have room here for a yoga session. This could be a nice flat place, not a fat place, and some exercise stations. But then this could also become an ice skating ribbon in the winter and could be used for that purpose. And then going to the west side of First Avenue, a pump track or a wheel track. And I'll show you an example of that, and some more shade spaces, as well as some offline skating area that would have some features for, could be for inline skates, could be for bicycles, could be for skateboards. So, and Bolton and Mink has done a nice job of putting together some different photos of what that might look like. Here's a wheel ribbon, or a pump track is sometimes called, but it would be concrete, different than what we have on the Woodpecker single track trail, where we now have dirt pump tracks out there. Different ways to do just some in line with the trail, but just some ways for people to be involved who like that kind of sport in skating and in biking and in inline skating. This is really neat. This is a kayak vending station. And so like your bike share programs that you can do, and you can use your credit card and check out a bicycle and use it, and then either bring it back or have a different place to check it back in. On the stream, you can also do that with kayaks. This is an example of the ice skating ribbon in the winter. Decorative fencing to mask. We have the Mid-American substation that's going to stay there long term, but we would like to make that a little bit more decorative and enhance that fencing around the substation. Pickleball courts, some examples of what maybe the different things might look like, the different shelters or warming stations. And this is a kayak, accessible kayak launch. It's also really great just to get in the water with your kayak. We love when we kayak to go places that have these kinds of launches. And like you could have some different exercise stations around that ribbon as well. So these are all ideas, and would be draft form to get us to the point where we could apply for the grant, and then we could dive deeper if we get the grant into what this might look like. But we are talking about drawing from the history of the ice industry on the Iowa River, as well as the mill industry. And so there would be some just tying that in with the Iowa River landing and making sure we have a cohesive riverfront here in Coralville with all of those ideas. And I'll go back and look at, this is in good weather, in summer weather. You can see kind of a rendition of how that park might look instead of in 2D form, in 3D form. Here's the area on the west side of First Avenue that would focus more again on you're paddling your foot a little bit, but it would also be bicycle amenities. We would have fix-it stations, restrooms, bike parking, just all of the things you need to be able to make this a trailhead. And from the paddle portion, again, places to park your vehicle, use your own kayaks, or do a checkout station. Places we can have an outfitter come right in and turn around in the roundabout, as well as places along that drive for people who want to pull their kayaks behind them on a vehicle for that. So different ways, different ways to do that.
So I know this is separate from some of the stuff that we talked about with the stream banking, correct? Because we had talked about some, like activating some of the areas along the Iowa River as a part of that project. This is different from that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the stream banking itself is its own separate project that doesn't have to do with those activation of spaces, but it could be a way that we would in the future have better facilities in terms of building the base of those to then be able to add on and activate those spaces. And these would be, right now, we would have to make some choices about how this would be phased, but I think that we've got some ideas on how to do that. Kelly and I have already talked about what makes the most sense in that very much focus of tourist attraction with the Destination Iowa grant, and having people come into Coralville to specifically park and use the pedal and paddle features. So that would drive how we would phase this project.
Awesome.
Two question, Sherry. So you mentioned the kayak loading zone and thing. Would it accommodate canoe also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You could do small watercraft.
Okay.
Any small watercraft that's people-powered.
I would figure so, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
And
It's a
then-
little harder to launch that canoe off of this kind of a setup, but it's still doable.
It's doable, yeah.
Mhm.
And then second question, you mentioned pickleball court. Would it be possible to draw into the design some basketball courts as well?
I'm probably out of space at this location for basketball courts here, but we could look at that when we do other parks. Right now, we partner with the school district and have the courts at Kirkwood Elementary and Central Elementary, Wickham, and Borlaug.
Could,
guess Van Allen does.
could the pickleball court be dual as a basketball court?
With how you set up your nets for pickleball, I guess we'd have to look at that.
I'm
Because the
guessing.
net is removable, right? You could take the net out.
It's one of
and
the things
turn
that they
into
don't
a-
like about the current situation that we have on the tennis courts, is we have removable nets. We have nets that are collapsible and we put them away. And they're not getting used because the pickleball people don't want to put the nets up and find it hard to do that. So we're looking for, what they really want is a permanent space that they can use for pickleball. And that's what they're advocating for in both North Liberty, Iowa City, and Coralville.
They came to the joint entity, I was not at the joint entities meeting, I was ill, but they're active, the pickleball advocates. I appreciate the question about basketball courts, because I have a teenage son who asks me all of the time why I've broken my campaign promise to add more public basketball courts. And I keep encouraging him to come to a meeting and talk about why those courts are important for the youth of our community. So I appreciate the question.
Yeah, and he's always welcome, like, I could
Yeah.
reach out to him too and find out what's not working with the courts that are in the community now.
Are
Do
the
we need to
gates
partner
open?
with? Hmm?
Are the gates open at schools?
Yeah.
For public?
Yeah, all the gates
Okay.
are open.
I think those courts pose a challenge to community member because, during school hour, they can't use it. Because it's school ground, so sometimes they don't feel comfortable going into school ground for whatever reason. And sometimes the general public doesn't know that is public, space that they can use.
Okay, it's
so-
okay to do that on evenings and weekends, yeah.
I think too, the other obstacle is like the before and after school
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
That,
Take space there and,
yeah.
But I would appreciate if we look into the future as we build out Coralville, especially when it comes to park, if we can think, strategically to add in basketball courts so that people go to our park and they have all these things, all these different sport that they can choose to play.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, this looks awesome, though. I think do we have any other outdoor, like, winter, like, dedicated spaces where we can do, like, ice skating or any other, would this be the first?
So last year, we did a skating pond at Brown Deer, and we do fat tire, cross-country skiing, and snowshoeing. So we groom for all three of those activities at Brown Deer Golf Club. Not, fat tire riding is on single track trail. And then at Brown Deer, we groom for the snowshoeing and the cross-country skiing. So this could be another future place to do ice skating. And then in the master plan for the Iowa River Landing Master Plan, Riverfront Park has an additional area for ice skating that's more traditional in a circular or in a rink-type setting.
Very cool.
Would cars be able to drive out like for ice fishing?
On the river?
That's
Like,
what
where do you wanna ice fish?
Well, that's where we Where else would you fish? That's not-
But you want to, I mean, where, you want to drive cars out on the river?
Am I the one that's that's what you usually do.
Okay.
Not in Iowa City.
I think in
Further
moving
north.
water, I wouldn't recommend, I mean, I've never heard that you do that on moving water, but we do have ice fishing on Brown Deer Lake that we don't allow them to drive out, but we have, people can walk out to them. Yeah, that's the only place I can think of that might be big enough, deep enough water that might freeze deep enough.
Northridge Park.
Northridge
We
Park,
have,
I
yeah,
don't
ice
think we
fishing
get
before.
enough to put a car on. Like
Or
a
car.
depth of
Oh,
ice.
Mitch was talking about driving.
Yeah, he
not
wants to
that.
drive out.
Okay, never mind. I
Well,
thought,
but in places like Canada and, you know, like,
never
people do that. No, my brother-in-law ice fishes. And like when they go to Canada, but it's so,
Yeah.
the ice is so
Thick. The only place I'm familiar in Iowa that they do that's Okoboji, but I could do some research on it.
Just asking.
I think,
I have visions of the car going through the ice in one of our parks. Yep.
All right, any other questions? Okay, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. All right, item 20 is a funding agreement for the United Action for Youth. This would dedicate $48,000 of our American Rescue Plan Act fund to the program to provide support services to students and staff members at Northwest Junior High. Could I have the resolution, please?
Resolution designating certain beneficiaries of the funding through the city's share of funding received through the American Rescue Plan Act, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Jones, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Nguyen. I'll just start off by saying, first, thank you to Councilmember Gross for the suggestion on this item. I think it's gonna be, I'm very excited about it. And I was reading through the scope of services. I am very excited to see a lot of trauma-informed training and programming, and also restorative justice techniques and programming and restorative approaches being outlined in this scope of services. And so I just am really excited about it. I think we're gonna continue to, see that there's a huge need in our community for these types of services for both youth and adults.
No, I appreciate that, Mayor. I know when I first brought it up, it seemed a little silly, but I think it's actually a model. And talking with some school board members and others, I would assume this passes, but hope that North Liberty and Iowa City follow suit. Because when you just think about this, I mean, obviously it's the first day of school today as well, but there are municipal boundaries of our students, but there are community's kids, and you think about just as you said, the social, emotional, mental trauma, and just struggles that so many students and basically anyone who works in a school has endured. So I when I talked with Tally at UAY, she was so pleased and excited, and I think I agree. I think the program they've carved out is going to be very, very beneficial. So I appreciate everyone again for buying into this. I think it's going to be a really good. I think it's going to be something that really helps our school.
When those kids are in Coralville, they're, no matter where they come from, when they're at that school,
Yep.
they're our kids.
Absolutely.
They're in our community. They're a part of our community when
Yep.
they're a part of that school, so.
Well said.
I think one of the things, Mayor, we found out just this afternoon that we didn't know, nor did UAY know, is that the school district's not gonna allow after-school activities at the junior high. And so like the art program isn't gonna be able to be held at the junior high. And so I think we need to, should go ahead and pass this, but I think we need to follow up with the school district and UAY to verify that they're gonna allow all of these activities, because the art one is an example of one. So I think those, because that was part of it, is taking care of kids also after school.
So
And
what's going on, Kelly? I guess I don't.
I don't know,
Junior
Sherry just
high
got,
or-
UAY just followed up today,
Huh.
right?
I got an email.
And just specifically junior high,
I believe it is, yeah.
So I worked last year during COVID. Of course, we were coming off of COVID and the school district wasn't allowing programming in the school. So I got an email today from the same staff member because we took them in at the rec center and had the art program there. And she was asking, she had found out today that they won't be allowing UAY to do any after-school programming at Northwest Junior High, and can she partner with us again and do the programming at the Coralville Recreation Center? So I brought that to Kelly's attention, because if this programming is, if some of this is about programming, and that was kind of my understanding, was some of this was about programming for, and they used to have such a wonderful depth and breadth of after-school activities, both that we did at the school and they did at the school, and then we had some at our location, and there was just so much to do after school. We're really losing a lot for these kids by not doing anything there, and they're gonna move them to Friday homeroom time, so they'll have 28 minutes, I think she said,
Who's the
Friday mornings,
So who's what organ? So someone from UAY saying that, or someone from the school district saying that?
UAY. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't get myself in trouble since I work for the school district, but I've not heard that at all. In fact, I thought the opposite is what we were told, is that community partners were going to be allowed back in to the
Well,
building.
and I think in some activities, like in the elementaries, I think they are. So that's why I think you should go ahead and pass it, but then we'll just make it subject to following up with the school district to make sure that we can implement.
And there were other things
Yeah.
throughout the
Yeah.
day. I
Yeah.
mean, like the groups and the trainings and the circle things were all intended to be done,
Yeah.
completed during the school day. It's unfortunate, my kids actually participated in the art group at Northwest, and so I
It
would
was
hate to
huge.
see that go away.
Yeah.
Huge,
Yeah.
successful.
it's huge success.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were getting what you wanted out of this agreement in terms of if it's part of after-school activities, then we need to clarify that with the school district, because the information I got at 5 o'clock was they're not gonna be allowed. And when I met with and she's at West now, Liz Bruning, my impression too was that we were gonna be able to come back in and do some programming as a Parks and Recreation department. When we get to the point where we have a staff member who can do that. And so it worried me a little bit when she said community partners are not going to be allowed to come in.
Huh. Any other questions or comments?
Well, show up to school board meeting and ask why.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think there's enough other stuff that is being
Yeah.
proposed within that scope of services that I think it's still very valuable.
And Kelly, just for a point of clarification, sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
go for it.
So theoretically, if we do this, and, excuse me, part of what's written in there, we can't do that, we just amend it, and that's a pretty easy process to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item 21, I would consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Mayor, I would like to ask council to consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented. A to U.
Okay. Moved by Nguyen, seconded by Gross. Could I have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Quinn.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved, all ayes with Knutson absent. Item 22, City Administrator's Report.
Yeah, I have several items, but first I'd just like to note on the consent calendar you just approved, we have 3 new officers that have been starting over last week and this week, and that will be heading to the police academy, law enforcement academy next Monday. So it's great to have 3 more officers, and 1 just completed last week the academy, and so he's back here on duty. So that's great to have that moving forward. Last week, several of us from staff were able to attend the National EPA Brownfields program. This was held in Oklahoma City, and this is something that they have about every 18 months that the national EPA sponsors. And it was a great honor that our former city engineer, retired engineer, Dan Holderness, was honored with the National Local Brownfield Leader Award. And so this is something that he, the city specifically, and Dan was really the implementer and the overseer of that program, worked on for well over 20 years. And so it was really an honor that he was the one person nationally that was picked for this award, and this was the first time that they made that award. So I congratulate Dan Holderness on that award. Fifth Street Social, I'd just like to thank Sherry and the staff and all the volunteers. Over 5,000 people showed up on that day for all of the activities. And it was just such a fun evening. It was fun to see everybody having a good time. Lots of families, because there was everything from kids' activities to adults. And so that was really great to see, and just thanks all of the people that helped put that on. Coralville Pride Fest is coming up on September 4th, and that is a Sunday of Labor Day weekend, and they'll be holding that festival outdoors this year between the Green State Credit Union parking and the New Pioneer parking area. So they have all kinds of fun activities planned. Everything from music to a beverage garden to honors that they'll be giving. So lots of ways that we can celebrate with them, and thank Tim Nabota for all of his work on that activity. Today, the Len Snyder, who chairs the Coralville Fourth Fest Committee, brought together a group of people from around the community to start thinking about Coralville's 150th anniversary, which is next year, October 2023. We officially turn 150 in Coralville, and so they were just. She was helping solicit ideas, and we'll be getting back together again with the group, but encourage people from the community, if you have ideas, this is the time to start thinking about, because we'd like to start implementing them shortly after the first of the year, and kick them off as early as this fall. And so just start thinking about things that you might want to do, or suggestions that you might have, and we'll see if we can't implement some of those. So thank you, Mayor.
Nice. All right, thank you very much. Mayor's report, I have a few things. First, I just want to say happy first day of school to all of the kids, the teachers and the staff in the Iowa City Community School District. And at the University of Iowa, yesterday was the first day of classes. And I hope everybody has a really fantastic school year. Just wanted to also echo the thank you on the Fifth Street Social. It was a great event. Thank you to Sherry. Thank you to the Parks and Rec staff, all of the volunteers who helped make it possible. It was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful night. It was just a really, really gorgeous evening to be out and, enjoying a great party with our friends and neighbors. I also wanted to address some of the feedback that I have received from citizens, community members about the fiber to home installation. We've been hearing a lot from residents who are expressing concern about condition of their lawn, just, the placement of the towers, all sorts of things. I wanted to let folks know that I am getting a lot of messages. If I haven't responded to you, I'm working through those, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as I can. I also wanted to thank Scott Larson for all of his help as well. He's been doing a great job of communicating with residents, giving a lot of really detailed answers, and I really appreciate that. I've been working with Representative Dave Jacoby, and we've had meetings with residents. We've been communicating because a lot of the issues that we are seeing have to do with some of the limitations that we have as a city because of state laws that are in place. So Representative Jacoby and I are working together to address some of those concerns. So I did just want to, say that we are hearing the concerns and the frustrations, and we are working to, to get better service. Hopefully we can get some, better care and maintenance of people's lawns as we move forward. So I just wanted to let people know that we are hearing those concerns and that we are working on them. And finally, I also was just going to mention Pride Fest, September 4th. Really looking forward to that. Really happy to see how that event has grown over the last couple of years. So that's all I have. City Attorney's report.
I have nothing additional, Kevin.
I just wanted to address something the mayor brought up about the law limitations. Metronet and IMON, who are doing the installation here which is, when it's done, will be a great project. Obviously, there's some hiccups around on the way here. The Federal Communications Act of 1996 is what is the federal law that oversees the telecommunications companies. So basically, the cities are limited to managing the right-of-way, and part of the deal where they're installing, especially in the newer parts of town, are when we do subdivision plats now, they're easements for where the telecommunication are not in the right-of-way. So when they cross the street or something, we can have more control over them. But when they're in the private easements, that's not something that we can go. We are certainly, and like I said, Scott's been working hard to try to notify the local staff so they can get the problems addressed. But the federal law it hinders us. When we first this law passed in 1996, there was a lawsuit in 1999 with the League of Cities and Coralville. We had a right-of-way ordinance that sort of challenged that, and the judge threw a lot of our ordinance out, and we could manage the right-of-way, but that's it's supposed to spur competition among the telecommunications companies, that we shouldn't provide barriers, the cities that shouldn't provide barriers to their coming to your city. But that's part of the reason we're hamstrung there. Cable companies we used to have franchise agreements. If we had problems with Mediacom or any other cable provider, those used to be done by city franchise agreements. Those franchise agreements are now state franchise agreements. So if there's a cable problem, they have to go to the state utilities board to make a complaint that those were taken out of our hands by the state legislature, and again to promote competition among now that hasn't come to fruition, but that was their goal when they did that process. So we are working with some limitations. Like I said, Scott is doing a great job of trying to address each resident's concern, but like you said, there are limitations that the city can't get too involved or try to put pressure on there unless they're in the right of way. In the more established areas of Coralville, like over here and south of the interstate, most of the installation is in the right of way, so we have control, and they're putting some of them on poles too. So, so we have a little more control there. But in the newer parts north of the interstate, the easements they're not in the right of way.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
The only other thing is Don did show me the pen that he had when he notarized the city charter in 1873. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh. All right, committee and council members' reports. I'll start with you, Mitch.
Oh,
Yes.
well, a lot's been said that I was going to say. Yeah, I appreciate the words about school starting, because it has. Congrats to the scout coming. That's a big, coming to a long council meeting after the first day of school. That's grueling, my friend. Cheers to you. Yeah, I mean, I had Pride Fest on too. I just, as I've said, when you say can't hide that Coralville pride, I think it's such a good
Yep.
slogan with what we're trying to celebrate with that. Heard great things about Fifth Street Social. It was my daughter's 16th birthday, so I missed my first one. I tried to convince her to have her party at Fifth Street Social for 16th. It did not. She wasn't biting on that one. So sure, I got to be honest. I texted my fishing friends like, "No, idiots, we're always on lake. We're not on river." So my bad. Yes. Yeah. So if we can edit that piece out of my council comments, I have some credibility. I got to try to get back. But also, I think on a serious note, when I was just looking through this agenda too, and just kind of the earlier comments, when I look at what I think the direction and what our vote said about affordable housing, when I look at providing mental health care to our community members through a police liaison, when I look at the grant that we did for our schools, I think it's clear just the values of this council, and I think the values of this council are pretty clear that we care deeply about those in our citizenry, who have been marginalized, who have been left out, who are oftentimes looking in, and I feel very good about this council's direction. I hope that we continue with that, and I have no doubt that we will. And finally, my last thing, Mayor, you have to practice pronouncing sesquicentennial quite a few times.
I guess so.
As we get ready for the 150th.
Sesquicentennial.
It's a tongue twister.
Yes,
I'm glad
it
it's
is.
not Mayor Lindell. He would have never gotten through that one.
I just did.
There you go. First time.
Sesquicentennial.
That's all I have.
Got it on the first go, yes. All right, thank you. Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy first day of school. I have 4 that I sent to school this morning, and I was anticipating a really chaotic morning after a relatively calm summer. But I have to say, it wasn't as chaotic as I anticipated. So that's the thumb up in my book. Thank you to all of the teachers, staff, students, parents, caretaker that, play a hand into the first successful day of school. And hopefully that will continue throughout the school year. This year is feel a little bit more normal. And it hasn't felt like that for quite a long time. Sometimes we forget what normal is. We're still in the middle of the pandemic, and there is another kind of virus going around. So who knows? But I'm celebrating one day at a time, one good day at a time. At the library, we have free English classes for adults, and that is in person on Tuesday from 6 to 7, and then there is 2 sessions online on Wednesday and Friday, and that is from 9:30 to 11. And if you need the link, just call the library and they'll be able to hook you up with a Zoom link. Next Friday, September 3rd, at the Coralville Public Library, there will be free healthcare services available to community members. It will take place from 11:30 to 2:30. Anybody can come and get a physical checkup. There is no dental or vision service on that day. And then the library have a really exciting program that is offering to community members. It's called Adventure Pass. So anybody in the community that have a library card can go to the library and check out passes that give you free admission to some of these local, well, when I say local, it's statewide attraction, not local here in Coralville. So for example, you can get passes to the Blank Park Zoo in Des Moines, or the History Center in Cedar Rapids, or the Fake Art Museum in Davenport. So I encourage people to come in to the library or go online and check out those passes. And August 31st is the last day to pick up your summer reading program rewards, such as T-shirt and anything else that you will work hard for all summer. And One last thing, the pantry will be closed on Saturday, September 3rd, so please plan accordingly. And that's all I have.
All righty. Councilmember Jones.
Just two things quickly, Mayor. First of all, to add to the first day of school, obviously traffic is a lot heavier now in the mornings. School buses are out, so I'd caution citizens to be aware of that. When the yellow lights are flashing, it means they're going to put the red lights on and the stop sign out, so you have to stop for those school buses. I had the opportunity this morning to do that up on Old Oakdale Road, so that was good. But a lot of students walking to school and the buses are out, so just be careful. Secondly, I just like to echo what was said about the Fifth Street Stroll Show. Great event this year. I know it with the pandemic the last couple of years, it's been off and on. But this was a great year. So Sherry, thanks to you and to your staff for pulling that event off, and all of the community volunteers that came together. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Finally, Councilmember Goodrich.
I have nothing to add this evening.
All
Good
right.
job. Well done.
Okay. On that note, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Nguyen, seconded by
Second.
Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Meeting is adjourned.